What are some realistic expectations for the 2022 Georgia Bulldog defense? The popular answer is that they're going to be worse than they were last year, right? Last year, it was one of the best defenses in college football history. I think it's very safe to say it was one of the 10 best defenses, and a lot of people would think it's one of the 5 best defensive units in the history of college football. So how do you come back from that after losing so much of your talent? This has been a big topic of conversation this offseason, and I want to set some realistic expectations. What my realistic expectations are for this defense, where I think they might struggle, where I think they're going to be just fine, and give maybe some predictions. But let's review a little bit. Last year, you lose Lewis Seen, you lose Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Quay Walker, Darian Kendrick, Channing Tindall. You lost a lot of really good players. You lose Devontae Wyatt, Latavius Brini, Adam Anderson, of course, who was only there for half the year. We're not going to get into that too much. So they lost a ton of talent. Amir Speed, a guy who didn't really play that much. So you lose so many guys. Still have some superstars, in my opinion, and still have some depth. I think they have some depth. And I know someone asked me about corners, so I'll talk about corners a little bit too. But I think it's still going to be a really good defense. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to predict best in the country, but I think it's going to be a really good defense. Sorry for the background noise. Ryan Kelly from DAWGSTRUCTION here, talking about Georgia's 2022 defense and what we should expect from the Dogs on that side of the football. Make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION, our insider preview book. All sorts of pictures of great plays. That was a really great shot of Dan Jackson's kick. And if you get that right now, you get our magazine, our preview magazine for this season, free. I'm fumbling these books around. Just make sure you're checking those out. I've got numbers in front of me, all right? I've got numbers from last season. Georgia was third in yards allowed. They allowed 279 yards per game. That was third best. And in scoring, they were first, and they ended up averaging and allowed 10 points per game for the opposing team. So, it was definitely the best defense in college football last year, and they definitely lost those guys. So they're going to take a step back. I mean, they have to, right? Have to, and assumptions are really not great in any industry. Not in ours, can't just make assumptions. But it's to say this is going to be a generational defense again, I think is probably dumb. You lost some serious talent. The defensive line lost a lot of talent. You lost your entire linebacker core that weren't just pure pass rushing linebackers. They were actually back there. That's tough. Lewis Seen, a guy that really meant a lot to the program. So they definitely lost the guys. So let's talk about what they have. Jalen Carter is the man in the middle. Zion Logue, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, they look to make up that starting defensive line. Depth-wise, Michael Williams is someone to keep an eye on. 5-star, impressive guy. He was a top 5 recruit. Tremel Wathauer, someone who might make some noise. Pass rushers, Nolan Smith came back huge. Was voted all SEC first team by the media, rightfully so. He had my vote. And then Robert Beal, leading sack man for Georgia last year. Tenure guy. He's one of those super seniors that's going to be really important for the leadership. And so the linebacker core, I talked about this a little bit the other day, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Tresman Marshall, Jalen Walker, Smile Mondin, those guys are going to get time in the middle. I think Jamon Dumas-Johnson is going to be that number one kind of linebacker, the way Nakobe Dean was, the way Roquan Smith was. Yet to be seen on how good he's going to be compared to those guys. And then in the secondary, safety. Let's go safety first. Christopher Smith comes back. Leadership, important. Tyke Smith comes back from injury. Important. Talent-wise, important. Dan Jackson, experience, important. Comes back. Corners, Keely Ringo, experience and raw talent, important. Second corner, losing Darian Kendrick is huge. I'm hearing Kamari Lassiter is probably going to be the guy opposite of him, but William Poole is also in that mix, and he's going to get a lot of touches. Javon Bullard's someone in the secondary that's going to get a lot of snaps, and then Nyland Green, potential. The potential is there with Nyland Green. That's kind of what I've been told. So I think, I think it's a really good defense. If you just look at that personnel that I put out there. All right, Jalen Carter is one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in all of college football. Keely Ringo has an opportunity to become the best cornerback in college football. He can't let that moment that he had define him. He needs to be more than that. All right, Kirby knows it, and he knows it. Keely Ringo wasn't an amazing corner last year. All right, he was a good corner, but he wasn't amazing. He wasn't an elite lockdown corner. That's what he needs to become this season. It's go time for Keely Ringo. It's go time for everybody else. I love saying that. It's go time. And sometimes it's more go time for people than it isn't. But like for Nolan Smith, it's go time. All right. You were the number 1 recruit. You decided to come back. You just won a national championship. You want to win it again. It's go time, Nolan Smith. Go have double-digit sacks. You know, that's kind of my take on it for Keely Ringo. You just did that. Prove you're better. It's go time. So as far as the defensive unit, I don't think they'll be the best. I think Alabama's pure talent might be a little bit better. The pass rushing duo that Alabama's going to have in Will Anderson and Dallas Turner is going to be a nightmare to deal with, guys. It's going to be really good. Dallas Turner is only a sophomore. Will Anderson, I think, is probably the betting favorite to be. He's the first overall pick in the draft. He's a freaking nature, guys. If you've walked by him the way I have, so I really like the interior defensive line of Clemson. I think they probably have the best defensive line in the country. Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson all have phenomenal defensive lines. And people are high on NC State's defense. I don't know too much about some of these other defenses, but what I do know is where Georgia's at. And Georgia, I don't think this is generational. I think this is a very good defense, potential to be number 1 in the conference. Now, Alabama's might be better. I don't think anyone else's defense is really going to be better than Georgia's, other than maybe Alabama. So for the people whining about, I'm hearing a lot of complaining recently. I'm sorry if I'm offending you by saying this, but a lot of complaints are about, Stetson he's not going to be saved by the defense. This offense is not going to be saved by. This offense is going to be really good, guys. It's going to be really good. And I'm sorry I just made fun of you if you're one of those people, but it's my opinion. This offense is going to be, I think, could potentially be spectacular. At the very minimum, it's going to be a very good offense that will be top 10 in scoring again, like they were last year. And this defense, no, is not going to be as good, but they're still going to be really good. It's not like they're going to be a weak point. They're not going to it's not like they're just going to be awful all of a sudden, and then the offense has to score 60 points a game. That's just not how it's going to be. They're still going to be solid. I would say they give up if they gave up 10 last year, I say they give up between 15 and 20 points a game, which how many defenses gave up between 15 and 20 points a game last year? The top 17 defenses. So if that's the case, we're looking at a top 20 defense in college football, probably top 10. It's not that bad, but those are the realistic expectations. David Pollack told me the same thing. He thinks they'll give up 7 to 10 more points a game. I agree with him. I don't always agree with David Pollack, but that's something I agree with him about. So Georgia's defense, the realistic expectation is that they're going to be really good again, but not generational. And that's a fair expectation. Let me know if you disagree with any of that. I got a little cranky there about the offense-defense dynamic that some of these people are out there. But I'm getting frustrated seeing some of these takes because I just don't agree with some of it. And that's okay. That's what all this is for. I get to share my opinion, my thoughts, and you don't have to agree with me on everything. That's what's fun about it. So make sure you go to the site dawgpost.com. Make sure you're checking out our TikTok at DAWGPOST. Make sure you're checking out these wonderful pieces of literature. Links are down below, guys.